Hey guys, it's me, the Afro Hamurai, and today I've opened up Smooth Operator. Now there was an update to Smooth Operator, but that's not what I'm talking about. Hold on a minute, color's wrong. I'm actually going to be comparing this to something. So this is Soothe 2 version 1.2 by Oeksound, and it's a spectral balancer shaper thing. In exactly the same way I can't explain Smooth Operator, I find it difficult to explain this. Question one, why did I not mention this? Because I actually forgot this existed. I didn't own this until I got Smooth Operator, and I had that for a few months, and I looked up to see if there was anything that would work at a higher sample rate. And people were like, just get Soothe too. It does it. This is what kind of started doing it in the first place. So let's just play the track and then I'll mess around with it and you'll kind of hear what it's doing and then I'll explain it afterwards. So now to explain what Soothe 2 is actually doing, and for that, I'm actually going to open Smooth Operator again, and I'm going to show you what Smooth Operator does with this exact information, like from the audio, right? So what I'm doing with Smooth Operator is I'm turning down, like, essentially these sort of like threshold detection offsets, and then you also have this big threshold here. And essentially, I'm telling it what sort of tonal balance I kind of want it to work towards or how much I want it to press down on certain frequencies. So this is my master threshold. I've told it to press a little bit further around like 200 hertz. I could turn that up and then it will press a lot less, as you can see at the top. Or I can turn it down and that's like absolutely just none of my 200s. I can also change this low shelf to mess with how much it goes with like everything that's beyond that. And I basically do the same with the high shelf. So this isn't actually EQing the track. What it's doing is it's saying like how it should respond to certain frequencies. Now let's go on to Soothe 2. So Soothe 2 is doing basically the same thing, right? It's listening to the audio, it's figuring out where there are resonances, so like random peaks beyond where you would kind of think would be normal. And it will automatically balance it for me. So even if I leave it like relatively flat, it's still going to do some balancing for like a flat sound. What I do is I pull these up and that tells it to work on that frequency more. So if I want it to work less on the hi-hats, I pull this band that I've set down and it does no balancing to the hi-hats. Conversely, if I push it all the way up, it will work really hard to actually push those down, right? So it's kind of like a really cool spectral multi-band compressor. You also have two different behaviors. So soft is really good with drums because it's kind of transparent. But if you were really just wanting to get rid of anything, you'd use hard. And that's like, as you can see, a lot harsher. Hard at maximum is like that, especially with like maximum sharpness and selectivity. It's just ridiculously harsh. Whereas with soft at its maximum, it's still relatively like light and nice to use. So, you know, I tend to start with soft and then go into hard if I feel like I need that extra work with like really tricky resonances. And that's only really when I'm using it on like specific tracks. So let's do a comparison. Soothe definitely wins out when it comes to level of control. You have way more control over what balancing you're actually getting out of it. Whereas a Smooth Operator, you're kind of, for lack of a better way of putting it, at the mercy of relatively limited nodes. Like you have a low shelf, a high shelf, and then a couple of bell curves that you can mess with, as well as a big threshold option. I'm not saying that this is like terrible. In fact, this sounds really good. And there's lots of times where I will still use Smooth Operator instead of Soothe 2 because it's simple and I like simpler plugins. You know, it does some great stuff without being like overly annoyingly complex with it. I think with Smooth Operator, when I tried to use it on some of my synthesizers where I was getting a really specific resonance, it could only just about do it. Whereas with Soothe 2, nothing stops me like zoning in, setting a really like sharp cue, finding exactly where it is. And like, you know, deciding, oh, I'm just going to take these four like little bits and almost like deciding to do some level of like comb filtering sort of like resonance suppression. and then still have a low cut and a high cut to like help reduce how it affects any of the other frequencies. Like this will work. This will basically do that spectral compression that Smooth Operator does, only over these four with much higher weight. And I still have a control over the depth and how sharp it is and how selective it is. And this also goes a lot more specific into frequencies, whereas a Smooth Operator, these curves are like the most specific that we'll go to. It's likely under the hood, I'm getting more specific changes than what it's showing me, but like Oeksound definitely wins out on that. You're most probably expecting that I should just tell you to get this instead of Smooth Operator and I'm retconning my previous video. No, actually, because this is £179. That's at least about like $200. This is 69 on its street price. At the moment, it's $39 still. If you're always dealing with weird resonances, especially if you're working with like, actual gear or you're recording real instruments, that's where I think Soothe 2 might be the better option, just because it is able to be, like, for lack of a better way of putting it, a bit more surgical with how it behaves, especially in this hard setting where it will find everything and just like push it right down. If you're working with electronic music and you don't really have issues with resonances within your mix, then Smooth Operator might be a good idea because it can help fix those odd resonances you get. It's also great to help balance your track out. It works brilliantly on your master channel. It works great on your mix buses. I have no bad thing to say about this, and it's a really competitive price. Like, I think previously Soothe 2 might have been the only thing that did what it does, whereas now that you have Smooth Operator in the mix, like, yeah, it's a really good choice. I mean, I have both of them and I really enjoy them. But yeah, out of the two, Smooth Operator still represents brilliant value for money, and I can't take that away from it. As much as Soothe 2 gives you a lot of control, this is still like objectively good, not just for the money, but just overall. Yeah. I hope you found this useful. Thank you for being patient. I've been at work, so I haven't had a lot of time to get YouTube videos done, but hopefully I can get back to uploading a little bit more frequently. Also, thank you for the 300 subscribers. That's really cool. But yeah, if you like my stuff, feel free to like. Definitely check out some of my other stuff. And if you've been enjoying my content, consider subscribing so that you're kept up to date. Yeah, cool.